So today I'm here with the proposal to change the current tax system with the flat tax system. It's going to have a flat rate of 20% to all income levels. And this system will only have one deduction based on the family size, and it will consist of no other deductions or exemptions. And flat tax, as defined by Investopedia, states a system that applies the same tax rate to every taxpayer regardless of the income bracket. Flat tax applies the same tax rate to all taxpayers with no deductions or exemption allowed. Currently, our tax system, we have our progressive tax system, which contains the tax brackets, which has different rates of taxes at different levels of income. The rates are divided into 10%, 15%, 25, 28, 33, 35, and 39.6 as the income level goes up. And this progressive tax can be defined as a tax that takes a larger percentage from the income of high-income earners than it does from low-income individuals. Basically, taxpayers are broken down into categories based on taxable income. The more one earns, the more taxes they will have to pay once they cross the benchmark cutoff point between different tax bracket levels. So we've been using this progressive tax system for quite a while now, but this is problematic, which is why I want the flat tax system. Subpoint A, the current tax system is subjectively unfair to those who are in the higher income bracket. Progressive tax system has an increasing tax rate as one's income level goes higher up. Let me give you an example of why this is not fair. Ross Kaminsky of the Heartland Institute, he states that in 2010, the top 1% of earners paid 39% of all taxes. The top 5% paid over 63%, and the top 10% paid 78%. Meanwhile, the bottom 40% collected 9% of income taxes. As you can see with numbers, basically it's not fair because higher income people, they're paying most of our taxes. And there's another evidence I have is by Fox host Stuart Barney. He states, you hear it all the time, don't you? Tax the rich more because they can afford it. Do you think that's fair? If I may ask you a question, do you think it's fair that minority pays for everything for the vast majority? It may be true that people in the higher income level may be able to afford it, but it's not fair that they're charged or taxed that way. Right. Moving on to my next point, subpoint B, the current tax code is too confusing and complicated. According to Congressman Michael Burgess, each year, Americans spend 6.1 billion hours preparing their tax reforms, and the IRS has 1,175 forms and instructions listed on its website. Even the IRS Commissioner, Doug Shulman, has said, I find the tax code complex, so I use a preparer. It only makes sense that the current tax code is so confusing even to the IRS Commissioner because the internal revenue code is 3.8 billion words long, which is about 11,000 single-space type pages. In addition to this, tax rates work in a confusing way. So this quote I want to give you explains how progressive tax works, and it goes like, the first dollar you earn in a year is taxed at a lower rate than the last dollar you earn. If you make $95,000 in a year and your neighbor makes $65,000, you'll both start out paying the same rate, but you'll end up with a higher rate. When you pass certain thresholds, the percent of income that you owe in taxes goes up, but the rate on the money you already earned doesn't change. So based on what I just said, is it easier to understand what I said, or easier to understand you owe 20% of what you earn? All right, moving on to my next point, subpoint C. The current tax system contains loopholes which can be based and manipulated by taxpayers. Matt Kibb of the Fox News states, the Internal Revenue Code, he states, due to numerous tax loopholes and special preferences in the tax laws, taxpayers with similar incomes can pay vastly different amounts of taxes. This means that as long as someone has a knowledge of the Internal Revenue Code, they could pay like way less than someone who doesn't know about it. Due to the loopholes and deductions and credits, another evidence I have is by Pat Garofalo. He states that between 2008 and 2011, 26 major American corporations paid nothing in federal corporate income tax despite making $205 billion in pre-tax profits. By changing our system to the flat tax system with a flat rate of 20%, we will be fair in taxing everyone equally. The tax code will be simplified and it will be unavoidable through loopholes and deductions. The flat tax system is pretty simple and fair in my opinion, and Andrew of the Off the Grid News also states that flat tax is fair to everybody. There are no loopholes, only a standard deduction based on family size. Each person simply fills out a simple postcard with their labor income minus the allowance based on family size. Flat tax is awesome.